Hey family members, hope you're having a nice day today. Um, this is sort of just something that came up yesterday that I've been thinking about that I gotta get it out. It's kind of random. Um, there's a YouTuber, Hoots, and podcaster, and actress. She recently released a video that was about, well, it's called Wine and Eggs. And the hook of it is that she's following this dating advice book that has this terrible diet that goes viral every few years where you just have wine and eggs. I've seen it before. You've probably seen it before. It's gross. It is ridiculous. And part of the hook of the video is that she also tries the diet for 2 days. Well, that's you know, that's what's the thumbnail. That's the premise to bring people in. But really what it is an exploration of, being single, being a single woman, dating, women's roles in dating, and a lot of broader topics than the book that it's, ostensively about. And while I was watching it, I was like, Hoots girl, have you ever considered that you might be demiromantic? Maybe not aromantic like I am. Maybe you're the kind of person who does feel romantic connection to people, but not until you already have an emotional bond with them. And that may be part of the reason why you're so satisfied not necessarily having a romantic partner, because you don't have that like yearning, that craving until there's a person that it is directed towards. Maybe. I don't like to speculate on other people's identities. I don't. But I was watching it and I was just like, some of the things she's saying here make me wonder. I have a couple of cousins that are older than me that have never been married. One, I actually, both of them, I think I've considered at some point whether they might be arospec like I am. And, either demi-romantic or aromantic. Not sure. Neither one of them have ever said that they are, so they're not, because they're not. That's not an identity they claim, but I do wonder if they had self-examined, if maybe they might have applied one of these labels to themselves. And I do think that it was very helpful for me growing up, having them, older cousins me that weren't married yet either, so no big deal that I wasn't married, right? I also had an aunt who lived to be 100, a great aunt who lived to be 100, who never got married. So, a prominent member of the family that everybody loved a lot, who was not married. I guess the pressure not to get married was maybe there in my family, which is good because I am romance repulsed. The idea of being in a relationship with somebody who is romantically attracted to me makes me deeply uncomfortable. I have tried it. It does not work. But I do think that if you are demi-romantic, when you're young, you may end up dating a lot. Because it's easy to meet people. It's easy to make connections when you're in high school and college, and when you're going out to the clubs and you're, so much more engaged in meeting new people and going out and all of that. Maybe until like your early 30s, when all of a sudden you look around and realize a lot of your friends have settled down. They're married, they've got kids, they've got jobs, they got to get up early the next morning. And it just becomes a lot harder for people who are middle-aged to make new friends, meet new people. This is not just exclusive to like romantic relationships. This is every kind of relationship. Meeting new people in your peer group when you're middle-aged is difficult. I mean, a lot of times it's like your kids' friends' parents or something, and that can be kind of like more of an acquaintance than a friendship a lot of times, because you're not the ones who pick those people to be in your like social circle, right? So sorry about that. When you stop meeting new people, then the odds that you're going to find someone who does, you know, elicit that romantic attraction once you've made a friendship with them, or some other kind of connection with them, that's going to drop. I mean, I've seen that happen with people that are of my generation. Is they'll date a lot and seem to really enjoy dating and even have some semi-serious relationships in their teens and 20s. And then in their 30s, they just kind of get busy and they're not really that interested in dating. And then you blink and it's been 10 years and they haven't dated anyone. And they're perfectly happy with that because they have their life, you know? Like, I think that's the biggest difference between being demiromantic and alloromantic, feeling romantic attraction, is people who are alloromantic, they crave it. They need it. They feel it. There's a strong desire there. And it can be applied to people who they have no connection to or people they do have connection to. Whereas a demi-romantic person may not even really care that much until the right person comes along and just sort of elicits that in them. You know, people don't always understand the distinction, the reason why demisexual and demiromantic are labels that people resonate with and use. They're like, isn't that just normal? Like, don't most people have to have a connection before they can feel sexual attraction or feel romantic attraction? And no, there are alloromantic and allosexual people who just indiscriminately being attracted around to all sorts of people. I'm sorry, allosexuals and alloromantics. I'm not trying to imply that you're like promiscuous or something. It's just you feel something we don't, you know? So my thoughts on this are that there are probably a lot of people who are demi-romantic or are on the aromantic spectrum that just have no idea. And it frustrates me a lot when I think about that, because you can't really begin to understand yourself until you realize what the words are and that there are other people that have similar experiences to you, and that, you know, you're not a failure because you're single, or there's nothing wrong with you because you ended up just, you know, deciding that marriage didn't work out. You know, not that it couldn't have worked out, but just it didn't. That's fine, you know? I mean, we're living in a time right now where people are very demanding that everyone follow the status quo. You know, you get married, you got your 2.5 kids and a dog and your white picket fence and all that BS. You know, that's a great life if that's what you want. It is hell on earth if it's not. And that's the thing that people who are conservatives, I don't think they understand. Or maybe they understand and they just don't care. But that if a person tries to live a life that's authentic to them, it's amazing. If they try to live a life that's not authentic to them, it is torture. And, you know, they may be living their life in a way that feels authentic to them, and that's great. But that does not mean that it'll feel authentic to everyone. I have to try to explain this to my mom every time we talk about polyamory, because she is so monogamous, it hurts. She and my father have been together since she was 15 years old. They're in their 70s. You know, they got married, like, mom was still like 18, I think. And daddy was 20. It was just because she hadn't had her birthday yet. She was going to have her birthday in like a week or something. But they were young. They've been together for more than 50 years. Like, they are so monogamous, it hurts. I've never seen them have any interest in anyone. They are fully committed to their relationship and, you know, still proud of themselves for being together, I guess. I love them, don't get me wrong, but, you know, it's hard for me to understand them because I'm not. You know, I'm not like them. But she's so monogamous, it hurts. And so when I try to explain polyamory to her, she feels like it's always going to be sort of lesser than a monogamous relationship. And her reasoning for that, her sort of evidence for that, is that the relationships may not last 50 years like hers have. And that's, I think, another thing we don't really talk about much is that some people change so much throughout their life. It kind of makes sense that maybe who their partner or partners would change during that time too. And you know what? Sometimes your partner changes on you without, you know, you having really any input on that. And some people handle that better than others, okay? Yeah, I just think that part of the reason why that horrible woman wrote that horrible book that Hoots was using sort of as the premise for her video was because the way that she lived her life worked really well for her. The way she described her life, if I were to put labels on it, I would probably say that she was, you know, a heterosexual, maybe not romance repulsed aromantic, eventually deciding to settle down in sort of an intellectual way, but not feeling really any need for a romantic relationship. And the way that she wrote her book was with the assumption that most women would feel that way. And that's how most people are. Most people who are allosexual will just assume everyone is allosexual. Most people who are aromantic, a lot of people who are aromantic will question whether or not people who say they're in love are lying to themselves, and they'll think love is fake, and they'll not realize for a long time that there are just some people who feel something they don't. What feels right and normal and natural for you, you're going to come out with the base assumption that everybody feels that way. But then you're going to get all this messaging that tells you that, you know, single people are losers, virgins are losers. It makes me so mad when I see people use virgin as an insult. Like, fuck off. The amount of sexual intercourse that a person has does not determine their worth as an individual, okay? Like, there are people who never want to have sexual intercourse, and they're perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. Very valid. Like, fuck off. I hate that. It makes me so mad, you know? Like, I hate when you see people talk about, like, you know, there's a commercial right now where they are making a pun about the insect ants and then the kind of people ants. Now, obviously, I'm Auntie Elaine. I am an auntie. So, of course, I'm going to be more sensitive to something like that than the average person. But it's just a bunch of judgy women just walking around being judgy. And their connection is that they're ants. And I just feel like it's a little dismissive of potentially unmarried female family members in your life, you know, or community members. Like, oh, what a burden to have to deal with them. I don't know. I mean, like, there's such an undercurrent of disrespect for women who are middle-aged, period, but middle-aged and unmarried, especially, you know. And it's such an easy joke, I guess, that they, you know, it's like fat phobia. It's just an easy little joke. You know, it's like Drake calling Kendrick short. Oh, that's hilarious, Drake. I'm sure that Kendrick never noticed that he wasn't tall. I've never noticed I was fat until somebody said, hey, you're fat in one of the comment section. I mean, come on. We don't need people to tell us things like that. We know what our height is. We know what our body type is. We know it's not funny. It's just lazy. It's just lazy. And there's so much lazy crap like that where we judge people who are not sexually active, where we judge people who don't have relationships or haven't been married, or it's really infuriating, you know? And like, Hoots girl, whether or not you have ever considered being, whether or not you might be demi-romantic, whether or not you ever decide that that's a label you would embrace, or no, it's none of my business. But, you know, I would suggest potentially considering it, and if you do, there's nothing wrong with you either way. You know, like, if you're just single because you just are, and it doesn't have anything to do with being on the aromantic spectrum, that's cool. Like, there's no reason why anybody is obligated to live their life in any way that doesn't feel right to them. And if they are trying to live their life in a certain way and they're not able to get there yet, it's pretty shitty to be jerks to them about it, is all I'm saying, you know. So, you know, in addition to Hoots and the suggestion I'm making to her to potentially consider that, I also implore any and all other viewers to consider the larger points here, you know. Like, that we need to stop making stupid jokes based on people's, like, dating and sexual history, because it's just gross and wrong. So, well, I really took that to a weird place, I think. Well, I was smoking when I started, so maybe that had something to do with it, I guess. Kimmy would like to say hi, I think. Would you like to say hi, Kimmy? Come say hi. Come say hi. Come say over here. Oh. Oh, she loves her mom. Oh, she loves her mom. She's a good dog. Yeah. Well, Kimmy says hi. She would love to be petted if she could. She says, if somebody likes me, just tell me in the comments and Mommy will take a cute picture and put it on my community tab. But only if somebody asks nicely, okay? Kimmy, that's not nice. We don't need to extort people for engagement. But Mom, that's what the YouTubers do. Oh, come on, don't you want to be a YouTuber? I can't be a corporate stooge. No! No! Kimmy! I enjoy this dog. She's great. All right, have a nice night. Love you. Bye.